We're at the point in the offseason where things really start to heat up. The hot stove begins to burn and we start to see free agents sign. But the market is usually dictated by those players at the top of it. So what we're going to be doing here over the next coming couple of weeks is we're going to be examining the best free agents and their 5 most likely landing destinations for this 2026 campaign and beyond. So keep it locked in here at the Baseball Banter Broadcast and let's get into it. As we get into the number 5 most likely landing destination for Zac Gallen, it is that of the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. When it comes to the Angels, you're never really sure what they're doing in each and every single offseason, and this year is very much similar. But for the Angels to be able to be a potential contender in the American League West in 2026, it is going to come on the strength of having to rebuild that starting rotation. Obviously, the move that they made this offseason in trading away Taylor Ward received them back a Grayson Rodriguez addition. If you go out and you pair a Grayson Rodriguez with Reed Detmers that you already have bringing back to the rotation, and you add in a guy the caliber of Zac Gallen, you can start to see the foundation being laid for this team to try and be competitive again in 2026. The best way for this team to try to erase the woes of the last decade is definitely going to be in rebuilding and revamping this team. Zac Gallen can absolutely help them do that. Obviously, the American League West is going to be favorited and headlined by the Seattle Mariners, and probably thereafter, it is a wide open field. In this case, the Angels have arguably the best player of all time in Mike Trout, and while he started to regress because of those injuries that he's been dealing with over the last several years, you're starting to be able to put this team in a position where he's not to have to be relied upon to carry the brunt of this force. The way that you do that is by bringing in quality arms to start games and leave your team in a position where they're not playing from behind. When you don't have to catch up and you can go ahead and give these opportunities to players like Trout, to players like Zach Neto, Logan O'Hoppe, who can start to come into their own and develop their skill set and be able to put your team into a position to be successful, that's going to start with the starting pitching. Bringing in a guy like Zac Gallen could help the Angels start to mend those fences with the fan base and get themselves back into a position of trying to be successful and trying to get Mike Trout back to the postseason for only the second time in his career. And coming in at number 4 on my list for the services of Zac Gallen is that of the San Francisco Giants. There's no doubt about it, the Giants are a team that is going to try to be nipping at the heels of the 2-time reigning defending World Series champion Los Angeles Dodgers. For the Giants, being able to go after the team that has reigned and defended their title successfully these past 2 years is going to be a very difficult task. But what's the best way to do it? If you go out and you bring in a guy like Zac Gallen, weakening one of your division opponents in the Arizona Diamondbacks, and also strengthening your team while chasing down the champions, you start to see the makings where the Giants, who are the only team to have dethroned the Dodgers from that NL West title in the past decade, you start to find yourselves in a position where you can start to close that gap. Imagine the pairing at the top of the battle in a best of 3, a best of 5, a best of 7, where you're throwing out Logan Webb and Zac Gallen in the same series. There's no doubt about it, the Giants are in a position right now where they're trying to make moves to reestablish themselves as a legitimate powerhouse in Major League Baseball. With Buster Posey at the helm, he is trying to put this team back into a position where they have been successful. We've seen it happen before with this team, and obviously the run that they had, absolutely incredible thing to have witnessed, watching those teams in 2010, 2012, and 2014 win the titles. But they have not done that since. They have not been back since. And the Giants want to reestablish themselves, and Buster Posey wants to reestablish this team as a legitimate player in not just the postseason race, but a World Series type of a team. Being able to go out and add a guy like Zac Gallen could truly help the Giants get back to being one of the favorited teams coming out of the NL. Now, coming in at number 3 on my list for the services of Zac Gallen is that of the Detroit Tigers. When you think about what the Tigers are trying to do, they themselves are trying to establish themselves. They are also trying to woo their ace to stay with them long term. What's the best way to tell Tarik Skubal that you're going to be a team that's trying to compete for a World Series each and every year? You fill in behind him so he doesn't have to do it all by himself. Having a guy like Zac Gallen join the Tigers rotation that also includes Jack Flaherty and Casey Mize could absolutely be one of the building blocks to have Tarik Skubal return. Obviously, you're going to have the team playing behind both of these guys that is going to be able to facilitate that winning culture and be able to facilitate winning baseball. But the best way to do that is when you have a guy going out there every 5 days that is going to give your team an opportunity each and every single time to win the game. And that's exactly what pairing a guy like Zac Gallen with Tarik Skubal will do. Obviously, it is going to be a difficult division when you're battling atop against the Cleveland Guardians, who themselves have been a pitching factory organization over the last several decades. But what you're going to be able to see the Tigers do if they can make a move like Zac Gallen to add to that rotation, you now have a rotation that really allows you to establish themselves in a much bigger way. Think about a series in which you have Tarik Skubal, Zac Gallen, Jack Flaherty, and Casey Mize as your 1, 2, 3, and 4. No doubt about it, there is absolutely a ton of things to like about a potential addition of Zac Gallen to the Tigers. Now, one of the teams that is trying to establish themselves in a serious way in the starting pitching market is that of the Chicago Cubs. Going out and getting a guy like Zac Gallen could absolutely help and push the Cubs back to the top of the National League Central Division. When you think about the battle that they've had over the past several years with the Milwaukee Brewers, one of the things that has hurt the Cubs has been their starting pitching. Going out and adding a guy like Zac Gallen to this rotation can absolutely help the Cubs start to bridge that gap once again and climbing back to the top of the NL Central. When you look at what the Brewers have been known for, it has been a full team attack, including the way that they go about it with their starters and their relievers. They've been able to mix and match. They've been able to trade away pieces and still be successful. So for the Cubs to be able to bridge that gap against the Brewers, they're going to need quality players and quality arms. Zac Gallen is exactly that for the Chicago Cubs. Being able to go into this 2026 campaign with Gallen in the mix, along with Shodi Managa, returning Justin Steele, you have the makings to really be able to put yourselves in the position where the NL Central, you could be looked at as the favorite. For the Cubs, the offensive core that is there, you want to be able to build around them and you want to be able to build them up. The best way to do that is to have quality starting pitching going out there every 5 days. And when you can start to build that and you have the pairing of Zac Gallen, Shodi Managa, amongst others, you now put yourselves in a position to be a much more successful team and potentially take down the 97-win Milwaukee Brewers. There's an opportunity for the Cubs to regain the prominence that they had just a few seasons ago and being able to go back to a position of being successful in the postseason. Obviously, they did not have the run that they wanted to, being knocked out by the Brewers in the division series. The best way to answer back is to punch back in a big way by bringing in a quality starter to plug into that rotation. Zac Gallen fits that mold. But for me, the number one and most likely landing destination for Zac Gallen is that of the Baltimore Orioles. The Orioles have been extremely aggressive this offseason. The signing of Ryan Helsley, the trade for Taylor Ward, and most recently, the signing of Pete Alonso. But what has been the biggest question mark for the Baltimore Orioles over the past several years? It has been their starting pitching. How do you address that? You go out and you get a guy the caliber and the quality of Zac Gallen. If you plug in a Zac Gallen to this rotation, you start to see where they're building up the offense behind this core, where the games aren't going to have to be 1-2-1 and 1-3. There's no doubt about it. This team is trying to build a powerhouse team in a very, very difficult American League East division. The Orioles have made strides to be able to take themselves from last in the division potentially to first. Obviously, there are a lot of teams in that division that are going to be trying to compete in a serious way. We've seen the Blue Jays be very aggressive. The Red Sox have been aggressive. And you always know that the Yankees and Rays are in the mix as well. With this move, With the move of potentially adding in a quality starter like Zac Gallen to your rotation in Baltimore, you give yourselves even more of an opportunity and more of an announcement to the league. We are going to be claiming the division once again. It was just a couple short seasons ago in which the Baltimore Orioles were the head of the AL East and looked at as the favorite to potentially make a World Series run with their young talent, Gunnar Henderson, Jackson Holiday, amongst others. When you think about what this team could be, adding in a guy like Zac Gallen to this mix, it absolutely makes the Orioles a favorite destination. So keep it locked in and see where the Baltimore Orioles ultimately land themselves in the Zac Gallen race. But I want to hear from you, baseball fans. Let me know your thoughts, your feelings down in the comment section below. Where is the most likely landing destination for Zac Gallen heading into the 2026 campaign and beyond? I want to know what that contract looks like in your mind in both years and dollars. Let me know that down in the comments, and while you're there, make sure if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button down below, as it does truly help us build and grow this baseball community. By hitting the bell for post notifications, you'll be notified each and every single time we drop new content here on the channel. We have a ton of new content creators here on the Baseball Banter Broadcast, and more that are incoming, and more content that is coming your way, and you're not going to want to miss any of it. If you're not seeing coverage from your favorite baseball team here on the Baseball Banter Broadcast, reach out. There may be a place for you on the team as we continue to build and grow this baseball community. So I want to thank you for joining me here, and I will catch you on the next video. Peace.